Good morning, 53Silver here. I'm at a local park in central New Jersey, and this morning's video is going to be about one of my favorite metal detectors, that being the Tesoro Vaquero. I love this little detector. It goes with me on all my hunts, and I felt since we're in early November here in New Jersey, the leaves are starting to turn. Beautiful day, probably around 60 or so, slight breeze. I'm going to come out here and do a bit of a go over on this machine, basically demo it, show you how I identify coins in the ground, how I use the discrimination knob to do that, how I set it up, how I ground balance it. I love this machine. It goes out on every hunt with me. I take my E-Track, this is with it. DFX, this is with it. The F75, this goes with it. So let's start here going over ground balance. This machine's real easy to set up, breeze to use, extremely lightweight. First thing you want to do is turn your machine on. That's the battery check. I usually rotate my sensitivity up to about 10 on average when I'm using this. And for ground balancing, lower your the threshold knob down to about a 1 o'clock position so you get a nice tone. And then make sure, of course, that your discrimination control is in all metal. Just go past the click. All you need to do is find an area in the ground where there's no metal. And you can do that simply by leaving it in discrimination mode. You can see there's nothing here. Go into all metal and then pump the coil. Now what you're hearing is when I lower the coil to the ground, I'm getting a positive response, which means that my machine is set a little too positive. So what I'm going to do is rotate the ground balance knob on this to about a 2 o'clock position and go over it again and see what I got. Still a little positive. Let's go a little bit more. And there you go. This machine is now ground balanced. It's in, see, perfect. All right, so that's where I would use this. You can go off the all metal mode now. Typically where I set the discrimination on this, I usually look at about the maybe 2:30 position, 11 o'clock position on the dial. There's a little line. I don't know if you can see it on here or not. Probably not. This camera's not so great. But about 10, 11 o'clock, there's a little line between iron and 5 cent, the nickel mark, and that's where I set my machine. Now, the reason I do that is because it helps me also not only coins, but I can grab jewelry with that setting, and it discriminates out most of the iron. I also set my threshold to about a 3 o'clock position. I leave my sensitivity on 10, and we're ready to go metal detecting. So I'm going to take a walk over here. I buried several targets here, starting with penny and then going to nickel, dime, quarter, and then some pieces of jewelry. And the point of this is I want to show you how I identify each of these items using the discrimination. And you know, right out of the gate, it's a kind of a broadband way of looking at it, but it tells me whether or not I should dig it or not, and it also tells me, you know, potentially what I have. The higher the discrimination, the further I turn that knob, I know I may have something, you know, potentially silver there. So let's start here. The first one's going to be a penny, and this machine actually is, these items are all buried about 2 or 3 inches down. So there's the penny sign, the signal that I'm getting. Let me back up. Now typically what I do when I get a hit like that is I'll start rotating the discrimination knob off of its initial setting, and I continue to rotate as I sweep over the target area. And I listen for it to where it cuts out, and then I just look and see what I've got. So let's start doing that. So I'm going to start rotating here. I'm up past pull tab, and still moving, still going, starting to break up. And there it's gone. Now basically I'm at about a 4 o'clock position on my discrimination setting. When I get there and I lose a signal, I know that I pretty much have a penny. I can almost guarantee it. That's what's going to be there. So the next thing we do is we dig it up, and I'm going to grab my little shovel here. Now these are all buried by me, and they're only a couple inches down, but I'm going to dig this out and show you that it was in fact P for penny, and there's a penny down in this little envelope that I buried. So pennies not for me anyway, they discriminate out at around 4 o'clock on this machine. To me, that's great. I mean, I know that, so when I'm hunting, I get something that discriminates out around 4 o'clock. I know that I probably have a penny. I'm going to lower my threshold back down to where it was, about 10 o'clock or so on the machine, and I'm going to go to the next target. Okay. Now this is a nickel in here. So what we're going to do is, again, rotate the discrimination up slightly as I'm going over this. Now what's cool about nickels on this machine is, as soon as you get past the 5 cent mark on the machine, and let me see if I can show that to you, which basically you're at about a 1 o'clock position, it's close to it, I know I've got a nickel. When this thing notches out a little after the 5 cent marking on this detector, I know that I have a nickel. And that's great. So it's an easy way of identifying pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. Let's quickly go in and dig this one out. And you can see they're only buried a few inches below the ground. Just to show you, there is a nickel down in this little pouch. So pennies go out around 4 o'clock on this machine. Nickels go out just past the 5 cent mark on the machine. And we move on to the next target. And once again, I'm going to rotate this back to the line between iron and 5 cents. And we'll go on to the next target. Now this is going to be a dime. Again, start rotating your knob. I'm just using my thumb to do this because I want to see where this is going to notch out, discriminate out. Okay, I have maxed out on this machine on the discrimination. I'm at the full position, which is about a 5 o'clock position on this machine, and I'm still getting a hit. I love it. That tells me that I've got either a dime or a quarter. Dimes and quarters on this machine, you can't discriminate them out. They go to the max on this, and when I hear that, that's music to my ears. So let's pull this one out of the ground and get my trusty digging tool here. And there we go. Pull this one out. And D for dime. So, I've hit my target. I was able to discriminate it. Using the discriminator, I was able to ID it, and this is in fact the dime. Real basic. I mean, this machine is a basic machine. It tells me what I want to know in a very easy to understand way. I'm going to rotate my discrimination now back to where it was, the line just prior to the nickel setting on here. Go over the next target, which should be a quarter. Nice solid beep. Start rotating up the discrimination once more. And I maxed out on discrimination. Still getting the tone. That's what we want to hear. That's exactly what we want to know. Pinpointing's easy. Pinpointing's great on this machine. It's very accurate. The articulation of the sound of this machine as well is I love it. I love the nice staccato-like sound that this machine offers. It's absolutely wonderful. Here we've got our quarter down inside the little pouch that I pre-buried. And again, just reviewing the coins I just went over, the penny wound up being at about 4 o'clock is when it discriminated out on this machine. The nickel went out just past the nickel indicator on this machine, mark on this machine. And the dime and quarter both went out. Well, they didn't go out actually. I maxed out the discrimination and they were still solid.